Thou shalt not piss me off. Okay, Geek XX Chic, and we're back with another reaction to Cobra Kai. We're now into episode 6, which is called Take a Right. So in the last episode, we saw that things have escalated yet again between Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do. The biggest thing being now that a couple of members of Cobra Kai, led by Hawk, went and basically vandalized Miyagi-Do because Hawk is feeling upset that he feels like he's losing friends to Miyagi-Do. But of course, Daniel thought that Johnny was behind it, and he went to the dojo and basically squared off against him again. And of course, we see with the kids, the wedge is growing, bigger and bigger between the Cobra Kai kids versus the Miyagi-Do kids. And we saw a handful of Johnny's students actually decide that they no longer want to be part of that dojo because they don't like where it's going. So we're about to jump into this episode, but before we do, this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I hope that you like it here and you like what you watch. And if you do, you can hit that thumbs up button because it helps the algorithm, which helps me out a lot, and I appreciate it so much. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming back, and hopefully you'll think about hitting that subscribe button so you can be notified of more reactions to this show as well as many other really cool shows. I'd love to have you as part of the fam, so let's do it. All right, that out of the way, guys, let's get into the episode right about now. I've never cleaned a rock in my entire life. I would think rocks like to be dirty. They did a really good job of recreating what that backyard looked like back in the 80s. All I remembered is that I loved it, and I really thought one day I'm going to have a Zen garden after watching it. See, now I know that's not Mr. Miyagi. I know it's a weird thing, but I know what Pat Morita looks like from the back, and that just ain't him. But I appreciate the idea, And I love that they put Cobra Kai over the mess.
Looking for answers.
Sensei, we really don't know who did it.
You don't.
Somebody knows something. Question is, who's gonna break?
You're a demon, Crease.
Do what you gotta do.
Don't worry. I will.
Johnny. I just can't believe you would put blind faith back in this man. I understand that you have love for him, but after everything, you should know he has to earn that back inch by inch. Put your back into it!
How did they even knock it over?
It's a lot easier to knock something down than it is to lift it up.
I was about to
Don't
say.
worry, we'll get it up again.
And pushing's a lot easier than pulling.
I'd be careful about this, Mr. L. Laying the Cobra Kai's into Miyagi-Do. It's like laying the wildlings behind the wall.
Didn't the wildlings help Jon Snow win the Battle of the Bastards?
Peary! You didn't think that one through. And also, this is the way that you help people turn over a new leaf. Robbie, we all know what it's like when someone judges you on your past. If you want people to actually change and turn over a new leaf, you have to give them a chance to turn over said leaf without reminding them what the other side of the leaf looks like. It's funny! But he's bald. Oh, I miss that beautiful long brown hair, boo. Time is a terrible mistress. I really love that they made Bobby a preacher of all people, because he was like the guy who had the most conscience out of the group back in the day. He was the one that would have been like the Miguel. Look at him with his long hair.
It's worse than I thought.
Worm still has no lips.
What do you have in mind?
Road trip. Give the guy a wild night to remember.
I gotta agree with that, honestly, if they want to do it.
Let's get the hell out of here.
I really can't believe how much he aged, though. Like, it doesn't even feel real, because, like, I watched the movie so many times, and I think in the movie he was already, like, 25, 26 already, and that was 83, but still.
It was Hawk.
Own up.
Because you are all Cobra Kai.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's the way it goes, Crease. Because I'm pretty sure that if they were going to go to jail, you would not own up to this.
Oh, shoot. I gotta go deal with something important, okay? I'll talk to you tonight.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have said something important when she's talking to you about things that are important. Just think before you speak sometimes. That fourth guy was like practically a non-entity in the first movie. It's hilarious. I don't even remember him most of the time. I feel bad. It's Worm, Dutch, Bobby, and Johnny, as far as I'm concerned. Other dude? I just want to put as a side note here that you know how mad Johnny was that he didn't know what was going on with Robbie last episode? He now, just out of here, he's living with LaRusso. He's once again forgotten all about him, is on a road trip. Like, this is why you're not a great dad, Johnny. You need to be a little more consistent. I mean, I know this is obviously a time-sensitive issue with his friend, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
What's it called?
It's called Cobra Kai.
I'm like, why? Why would you do that?
Yeah, it's not all that's back.
They're like, you brought the devil back. Satan? You brought Satan back.
You show your enemy no mercy.
That's my teammate, though. We're wearing the same gi. But all right.
What is the ultimate lesson we learn from karate?
We were never taught. Just a lot of violence.
Watch and learn.
You're going to break that. It needs to be much thicker than a piece of wood.
Once a Cobra Kai, always a Cobra Kai.
Well, that's not true. I know it's not true because
I was one. Briefly.
I used to be a Cobra Kai.
Revelations.
Do you trust him, Johnny?
Foolishly, yes.
Kreese? He's always got something up his sleeve.
You needed Bobby there.
Doesn't it say something in your book about forgiveness?
Oh, forgiving doesn't mean you keep toxic influences in your life, Johnny. Another life lesson, kids. Just because you forgive someone does not mean that they have access to your life, especially if they haven't changed their ways.
You guys want to play some pool with me?
Yeah. Might as well change the topic. Clearly you're on opposite sides of this issue right now. And this might be this man's last day on Earth, so let's not fight.
Is the ugliest Make-A-Wish kid I've ever seen. I'll tell you what. Here's
Okay, now you deserve to die.
Suck my dick.
I choke on small bones. I mean, he was looking to get his ass kicked, truthfully. I love that Bobby was the first one to run in like, I'm about to kick some ass. I've been meaning to do this. Thou shalt not piss me off. I'm not gonna lie, Johnny still looks hot when he be kicking and stuff. Even in the first movie, I was like... Sis is like, I was gonna kick his ass myself, but... This is way more into... Ooh, okay, hi.
And it turned me into an angry and violent kid. It changed me.
You never told me about any of this.
It's a lot that happens before you're born, kid.
Remember, it doesn't matter who anyone was before they stepped into this dojo. All that matters is that right now, today,
Yep.
we are all Miyagi-Do.
You gotta be able to move forward. I always say to people, like, none of us are here. If you are over the age of, like, 10, you're not here because people didn't forgive you. We've all been benefactors of somebody being benevolent and forgiving of us. So we should all be doing that. Of ourselves and of other people.
Don't you think that some of what Sensei Kreese is teaching us just feels wrong? That life is only about
You don't have to get validation. Your gut's telling you what you need to know, Miguel.
Rest of us, we have to fight for every inch of what's ours.
That doesn't mean you get to be a jerk, though. Struggle is hard. Not gonna argue that. Struggle is hard. Been through it myself. Doesn't give you a license to be an a-hole. That is a choice. And it has nothing to do with money, because there are people with money and access who are still a-holes.
Come on.
Oh, so manly.
You still got one thing that's more important than anything, Johnny.
What's that?
Time.
Use it well every day. Live every day like it's your last, and not in the sense of doing crazy things, but in the sense of making sure you're living it the way you want to.
Right now, all I want to do is make sure my students don't make the same mistakes that we did.
What about your son? God, he's frustrating. What I love about this too is that a lot of these kids are learning some lessons from this type of karate that's going to be so much more helpful in so many aspects of their life, since teens are a very turbulent time. He was ready to go. And look, it sucks, but as someone who has seen how horrible that disease makes life and the toll that it takes on people, like he said, he'd already done the fighting. For a lot of them, they just don't want to do it anymore. R.I.P. Worm.
Because Cobra Kai never dies.
Well, I believe that is an absolute in the other direction. That's telling us that they do, actually. But of course, we know he's referring to the ideals, not the people. Episode 6 of Cobra Kai Season 2. And yes, I remember that this episode was nice and that they brought back as many of the cast members as they could. I can't remember why they didn't bring back the character of Dutch. I'm not sure if it was... I should actually look it up. But anyhow, it was kind of nice to see those actors again because they weren't like a massive part of the first movie, but they were enough. Like, you know, pretty much Johnny, outside of like a couple of moments in the movie, he was always surrounded by those guys, right? He was always Johnny and his buddies. And they were very much a part of his arc, as little as it was in the first movie. So the fact that they really weren't kind of part of the show in the first season at all, or even most of this season really, was interesting, but not unbelievable. I mean, that's just life, unfortunately. A lot of us don't still have the exact same friend group we had when we were in high school. And Johnny clearly outgrew some of his friends, and I think more likely they outgrew him, especially since we saw he was in season 1, episode 1, right? Johnny really had moved farther from like a college student's worst, even at the age of, well, I don't know, he's supposed to be in his mid 40s at this point, mid to late 40s. So anyway, it was nice to see at least where everybody ended up. And like I said, not surprised that Bobby became a priest, or a pastor, as he puts it. He was always the person who was like the conscience of Cobra Kai. And the other ones, we didn't really get to hear too much about them. But again, I think it was just good for Johnny to see people who have that mutual experience of being through Cobra Kai when it was kind of at its peak, but also when it fell. And that talk that he had, of course, between talking to Bobby, who was like shocked and of course appalled that he would ever bring back Cobra Kai or any of the ideals that came along with it. And then you've got Worm, who, while he understands to some degree where Johnny's coming from, he also is, you know, recognizing where Bobby's coming from. But, you know, again, he's got much bigger pressing issues at the moment than to worry about this. You know, he's like, this is my last day of freedom, most likely. I really just want to enjoy it and have fun with my friends. And so he got to even have a bar fight on his last day, right? I suppose that's the way Worm would go out, because he always was seemingly the most combative one out of that group. I think with this arc that they put in there in the show, with having Johnny lose one of his longtime friends, and again, this person he had this shared trauma of Cobra Kai through, also brotherhood, is that when people die who are close to us, almost always it makes us stop and reflect on our own lives and what we're doing and what we consider to be meaningful. And it's usually a checkpoint, especially as you start to get older. Like when you're young, it's sad, but it doesn't usually hit you because you're still young and you still don't really think in kind of, oh, my life is coming towards its end, you know, like, because I mean, I had someone that I knew passed away when we were only 17. Like he was 17 years old, I was 17 years old. And that was the first time somebody my age that I knew of died. And sadly, it was also of cancer. But, it, you know, for me, it didn't give me so much a mortality check as it did of a, wow, like life can be over just like that. But as you get older, and like Johnny, like I said, is like, I think late 40s, early 50s at this point, you start to get a lot more perspective on how short life is and how fast the years start to go by. And the fact that even if he doesn't get an illness, you know, at best, most people are only looking maybe another 30 to 40 years past the 50 mark, right? So you start to really wonder if you're living your life the way you want it to be, and are you doing what you want to do? And that's what I love about that advice that Worm gave Johnny, is that you have time, which is something he knew he no longer had. But he's like, you still have time. You can live the life you want, do what you want, be happy, you know, meet the people, you know, meet your next love, be a good sensei, and, you know, by extension, a good father. Like there's still time for him to do all those things. So I think that's really what the point of this episode was for Johnny to really get that wake up call and remember that he still has time to choose the path of his life. And even if the first half of it wasn't great, he can make sure that the rest is amazing. And then on the Daniel side of things, him basically getting Miyagi-Do off the ground and really helping to reinforce that message of second chances. I really love the messaging that was in there, you know, because we saw some of the kids still have grudges against the other kids. And he was like, look, I understand that your feelings are coming from, but everyone deserves a second chance. And also, like, who you are today and going forward does not have to be the same person you were yesterday, right? We all have benefited from someone forgiving us or letting things go that we've done in the past. And you are a better person, and you allow people to become better people when you're willing to forget the past. Now, that's not to say you don't be weary of certain people, right? Some people have habits and and ways of being that are still dangerous, and you need to be careful to protect yourself and those that you love. But overall, if you see someone genuinely trying to make a change, the best way to make sure that change happens is to welcome and encourage them and, you know, show them that you're willing to support them on that path rather than continuously reminding them of all the reasons why they were the way they were. Again, loving this, love this show. Again, I just love these reminders of how good the writing was in this show, and I'm still loving going through it. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching along with me. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video.